4 o'clock. Make sure I'm not muted. Yep. It is 4 o'clock. Thank you all for joining us today. You have joined the NCEES presentation for teacher and support staff mid-year check-in process. Let me post in the chat one more time the link to our slides. If you want to follow along with your own copy of the slides, you're welcome to. Just use that link right there, or just follow along in the presentation that we are showing on the screen today. Just real quick, we are using WebEx training to present our session today. And if you need to ask us any questions, we ask that you use the chat bar. Let me turn on the pointer. So if you can find your panel that has all the little icons that you can open up. For me, when I open up these slides, it goes to the top of the screen. Yours may too. It just depends on how you join the session today. But in your panel, you should be able to see a talk bubble that has the word chat under it. And we ask that you put your questions in through the chat. And please select all participants so that everybody can see your question. If you have a question just for Kim Simmons and I, you could select host and panelists, and then only she and I will see the question. If you're having any audio difficulties, there is an audio link in that same panel. You guys will remain muted throughout the webinar unless we see a need to unmute you if we have a specific question we want you to clarify, or we will try to also unmute at the end of the session after we stop recording if we have any additional questions. All right, so today I have to change this slide. Our WebEx norms today will be minimize your outside distractions, be attentive and participate, notify the presenter. If you're having technical difficulties, you can raise your hand or put a note in the chat, and then use that chat panel on your dashboard to ask any questions. And make sure you choose all participants so everyone can see your questions, because I'm sure others have the same question you do. All right, and again, we're going to get started now. We are in teacher and support staff mid-year check-in process, and this is actually 2021. I am Cammie Nairn. I am your NCEES Education Product Consultant in the home-based department for digital teaching and learning at DPI, and I support all your system questions. And joining me today is my partner in NCEES, Kimberly Simmons, and I'll let her introduce herself.
Hi, Cammie, and good afternoon, everyone. I am Kimberly Simmons, and I am the North Carolina Educator Evaluation Coordinator. And like Cammie mentioned, I work more on the policy, procedure, and professional development side of the NCEES support for educators across North Carolina. So thanks, Cammie, for having me here today. I love this collaborative effort that we have with our webinars.
Me too. You're welcome, Kim, and thank you for joining us. So today we're going to look back at re-accessing the NCEES system, locating your help for the plans, those guides we have for the plans, reviewing the teacher evaluation process, reviewing those mid-year plan activities, reviewing of what the written response is for, reviewing your professional development plans and the mid-year activities in that. And then we'll take a quick look at professional development component, where you can take courses that are in NCEES to help you meet your professional development goals. So there will be an email following this webinar within a week after the end of the webinar. It will contain a link to the recording of the webinar and a link to the NCEES feedback survey. Now, the feedback survey is important because it gives us your feedback on the webinar, and also once you complete the feedback survey, you will receive an email that will have your certificate of completion for today's session for the 1 hour of credit that you can turn into your district, your PSU, for approval for that credit. And then it'll also contain links to resources discussed during the webinar, and we'll answer any remaining questions or have like a frequently asked questions that if we have any, those will be included in that follow-up email. All right, and hello, I see a few have said hello and greetings in our chat. I see Lenoir County is here. So, yeah, y'all are welcome to say hello to each other and to us in the chat as well. We'll get started with the webinar so that we can complete in this hour. Everybody by now, unless you're totally brand new, knows how to access NCEES. You know, at DPI, everybody goes through our single sign-on system, the NCEES Cloud or IEM, depending on what your district refers to it as. And then once you get logged in with your username and password, once the dashboard loads, you're looking for the NCEES icon, which is a blue cyan PowerSchool letter P with the words Unified Talent underneath and NCEES written underneath that. You have your teacher landing page. Everybody lands on the home page when they come in. Teachers, you're going to see these links that you see on this page. You'll see your initials in the top right corner. If you've gotten some emails or messages in the system, on the envelope icon, you'll see a red circle with a number in it. Tells you how many messages you have not read yet. And then there's your calendar icon up there to go look to see if there's anything coming up. And if you also, calendar icon up here corresponds to the upcoming events here. So I do put the webinars that we have out here on the calendar as well. And we have one next week as well for our administrators on learning how to do those reports in the system. So this is just your main page. And then I just wanted to point out our help guides. I have revamped the help guides page this year. Hopefully it's a little bit easier to find what you need. We have divided up the plan guides by plan. So if you're on comprehensive, there's the teacher guide. And these guides are complete step-by-step with screenshots on almost every step in the guide. There's one for your evaluator, usually your principal. And the peer observer guide for those on a comprehensive plan. You have those peers that must observe you at least once. And then your standard, abbreviated, late hire, and PDP, and of course down below would be the principal plans and everything. Today we're looking at teacher and support staff guides. And I just want to say ahead of time, when we say teacher, that means teacher and support staff. Legislatively, the definition for teacher covers support staff as well. So in NCEES, you're going to see the word teacher a lot, but it does refer to support staff just as much as it does teacher. So we will be looking at today the mid-year processes for your evaluation, which it will, for most folks, will be observation 2, and the activities that are included in that. And then also the mid-year processes for your PDP. I wanted to show you these two screenshots. So observation 2 on the left and PDP Mid-Year Review on the right to make sure you know what these icons mean when you see them. If you see a circle with the letter I in it, it means you cannot open this activity until something else has been done. You just need to take your mouse and hover over the top of the letter I, and we'll tell you what it's expecting to be done before that activity opens up. And then on some of the main areas, like here, the formal observation, you see a little tiny envelope icon. This is a place that you can email anybody else that has access to your plan. So in here, if you open this up and you're on a comprehensive plan, you should see the names of your evaluator and the name of possibly your district administrator in NCEES. And if you have a peer, you'll see that name in there as well. And possibly in the PDP part, you're also going to see your mentor if you have a mentor assigned. And then in the PDP plan are also print icons where you can print out the activity that you are looking at. Okay, I don't see any questions coming in yet, so we're going to turn this over to Kim to go over the teacher evaluation process.
Thanks, Cammie. So to begin, it's important that we communicate that the North Carolina Department of Public Instruction stands firmly that the educator evaluation, including teachers and support staff, principals, assistant principals, is really about growth. The whole process is about growth and improvement of teacher practices. Too often we find that the evaluation process is viewed as a gotcha or a way to get rid of a teacher, and this is not the purpose of the North Carolina evaluation. The teacher evaluation policy states that the intended purpose of the North Carolina teacher evaluation process is to assess the teacher's performance in relation to the North Carolina professional teaching standards and to design a plan for professional growth, of course, using our professional development plans. It certainly doesn't say that this is just for teachers doing poorly. Growth is for every teacher, and that is the goal that we have for all teachers in North Carolina. So here you see a one-page visual that can be found on the NCEES Google site. It's also located on page 21 of the Teacher Evaluation Process Manual, and we'll provide a link to the this one-pager in the chat bar. And our webinar today will focus, because it's the mid-year review, we're really going to focus on the bottom part of the teacher evaluation process. Specifically, we're going to be looking at step 3, the observation cycle, in the lower right-hand corner. And you see a red box around the part that we're going to be focusing on mostly. So in red, you see step 3, the observation cycle, which includes observations and the post-observation. So component 5, observation, this is when the evaluator checks descriptors on the rubric while watching a lesson. And there's 2 types of observations. We have the formal and the informal. The formal observations last 45 minutes or the entire class period, and an informal observation should last at least 20 minutes. And a post-conference is not required for an informal observation, but it can be requested by the teacher, or it can be requested by the principal. But that's a question that I get a lot, is about the post-observation conferences for informal observation, so I wanted to make sure that we covered that. More information, just for clarification, teachers with less than 3 years employment, they're on the comprehensive evaluation cycle, and we know that that consists of 3 formal observations from the principal or the principal's designee, and 1 formal observation from a peer observer. And teachers with more than 3 years employment will be on the standard or abbreviated evaluation cycle. The standard cycle requires 3 observations. 1 of those must be formal, and the abbreviated cycle includes 2 observations on standards 1 and 4. And we know that abbreviated observations may be formal or informal. So with regards to the support staff evaluations, like Cammie mentioned earlier, they do follow the same evaluation process as teachers. While the process for support staff mimics that of the teacher observation process, support staff do not have abbreviated observation as an option. So for support staff with more than 3 years employment, they adhere to the standard evaluation cycle. So here you have just another chart, and we'll put there's a link. If you pulled up the slides, you see a link in the top left-hand corner to the comparison chart, and we'll get that in the chat bar as well. When it's Cammie's time to lead, I'll put those links in the chat bar. But you have just a chart here that shows the minimum requirements for the North Carolina evaluation process. And again, I put a red square on what we're really focusing on today, which would be those observations. To further understand observations, consider the year-long evaluation process as a series of formative assessments or observations. So during observations, data is collected using the rubric. The misconception that teachers are evaluated and rated numerous times during the year has burdened the focus of growth, the growth that I mentioned earlier that's intended for the process. everyone is evaluated annually, only at the end of the school year, at which time ratings are assigned for each of the standards. But during these observations, during the school year, this, again, is just a series of formative assessments where we gather data and put this data in the rubrics, and then we look at all of that data at the end of the year to determine ratings for each of the standards. So remember, the observation is one collection of data to inform the evaluation at the end of the year. As a result of the observation, we have component 6, which is the post-observation conference. The principal shall conduct a post-observation conference no later than 10 school days after each formal observation. The purpose of the post-observation conference is to discuss and document strengths and weaknesses on the rubric. The post-observation conference should focus on the evidence gathered during the observation. Teachers should have an opportunity to reflect on the observation as it relates to the rubric. Observers should focus on providing relevant feedback on the marked descriptors on the rubric and how that the teacher could grow forward for improved practices. The language of the rubric should be used to ensure an accurate interpretation of the standards. Kind of going back to the timeline around that post-observation conference, if for some reason you've not had your post-observation conference within the 10 days, it's better to have another observation because the data and feedback that's provided to you after 10 days is really not relevant, and it's not going to help you to grow. So we do ask that administrators do another observation if they've not been able to have that post-observation conference with you. So just a minute to go back to the slide. When I first started, I emphasized the purpose of the evaluation being about growth and improvement. The post-observation conference is really at the heart of that process and what we're working to accomplish, the growth for teachers. The post-observation conference should focus on the evidence that was gathered during the observation. And this is a time that teachers should have that opportunity to reflect on the observation as it relates to the rubric. Observers should focus on providing that relevant feedback on the marked descriptors, but really giving a reflective time to the teachers for them to discuss, maybe even lead the conversation on what their growth may look like, what it may look like for more of those descriptors to be checked. So again, the language of the rubric should be used to ensure the accurate interpretation of the standards. Which takes us to this resource that I wanted to make sure that I shared, which is called Questions for Post-Observation Conferences and Summative Evaluation. This questions document provides questions for teacher reflection using the language of the rubric. And this was, well, it was last updated in May of 2017, but it was requested by principals to use as a discussion tool during these post-observation conferences and summative evaluations. What it's turned into is a document that is very good for those conversations and that does promote growth, but it also can be used by the teacher in preparation for that post-observation conference and summative evaluation conversation, but also to help them better understand what it is that we're looking for with the standards. For example, if you just look at the questions promote the reflection that really gets at the core of what the element is asking for. And you see, if you can look closely at the document, that it's divided up into the 5 standards, professional teaching standards, and then within each element, you have very specific questions to promote reflection during the conversation. So the medium between the teacher and the observer provides an opportunity, of course, for a strengthened relationship and communication that can result in a plan of continued improvement for the teacher's practice. So during each post-observation conference, the principal and the teacher discuss and document, remember to document on the rubric those strengths and weaknesses of the teacher's performance during the observed lesson. So the post-observation conference should not include discussion of ratings. It's all about growth during that time of the conversation. So this next slide you see, and Cammie, you may want to jump in here because this is a change that we've made to the tool. You see that we tried to add, so that we wouldn't be using the ratings in our conversation, we have added some different words to describe the ratings, and they're the rating category words. So I just wanted to point that out, that this is now within, it's a new update that's within the tool. And you see, like for developing, this is really these descriptors, about 90% of the descriptors that are in the developing rating category, those are really knowledge descriptors. It's about what the teacher knows. And as you move over to the proficient category, that's really about the action of the teacher. What is the teacher doing in the classroom during the observation? As we progress across, accomplished is the interaction, which may be between the teacher and the students, between students and students. But it's mostly about interaction. And then within the distinguished category, it's about extension. Usually what's happening outside of those classroom walls that the teacher goes above and beyond to do. And again, that does apply to about 90% of the rubric. So the message here is no one observation should fully inform a teacher's rating. So we should really try to remove the discussion of ratings from those post-observation conversations and save those discussions to the summative evaluation, so we can really just talk about how our growth looks like during the school year.
Okay, thank you, Kim. And you explained those updates to the rubric just perfectly. You do that better than I do. But there is what Kim was talking about, the extension, interaction, action, and knowledge is new in the view of on the system side of the rubric. All right, did anybody have any questions for Kim before we move on? And Kim, I tried to do the link for the evaluation questions, but the slide still has our old Wikispace link. So do you have a link you can put in the chat? For
I do. I'll get that right now.
Current access. Thanks.
Okay.
Okay. All right. I don't see any, excuse me just a minute. Sorry about that. Any questions coming in? So we're going to move on to reopening your evaluation plan for the mid-year process. And don't pay attention to the dates on the slide. The screenshot is the same each year until we change it. I think we're okay with using this graphic because you're still going to navigate to My Evaluation when you log in. You're going to your Current Evaluations tab, which is usually already highlighted with this blue line. And then you can find your Comprehensive Evaluation, or abbreviated or standard, whatever you're on. And now that you've already started it, you've already done one observation, you'll just click the title to get into the next part of the activity. And just to review with some of the icons you may see in your activity, if you've not started an activity, it's got the gray flower, which means not started. Once you've put it in progress, it turns 3/4 blue. Once you've completed an activity, it turns green with a green check mark. If somebody has to reopen the activity for editing, it will turn orange, which means now it's incomplete. And you must correct whatever it was reopened for, add to whatever it was reopened for, and then you can recomplete the activity. Just a quick review about where we're at with the middle of year. This slide also tells you what must be locked in order for the end of year summative container to be open. So you see the comprehensive plan must have all these columns filled locked observation 1, 2, 3 in peer. Standard has to have 1, 2, and 3 completed for the summative to open. Abbreviated just has to have 1 and 2. And late hire must only have the observation 1 completed to open the summative. Now, it is optional to do these additional areas that don't have the green dots. That's up to your evaluator at your school. So here we are with the mid-year process, and most people on comprehensive and standard are undergoing observation 2, or will soon be going in the coming weeks observation 2. I'm not sure how they spread out the abbreviated plan, but however your district has their calendar set up, observation 2 will be coming up next. So let's look at completing your evaluation plan, middle of year activities. So you've gone in and you've reopened your plan, and your plan is now open on the screen. We're looking at an abbreviated evaluation. This is actually the evaluator view because I can see my locking instructions. But you have the same view as a teacher or support staff, you just won't have locking instructions. You are looking for, have I completed my training and orientation? Does it have a green check? If yes, move on to your observation 1. Is it complete and has its green check? Yes. Well, if so, then you should be able to now access observation 2. So once you click into observation 2, it will open up what we call a channel for observation 2 and list all the activities within observation 2's channel. Watch for the required fields. They have asterisks. And again, if the evaluator wants to do a pre-observation conference, that is optional, but it is not required for this activity by the system. So what's required here for this observation in a comprehensive plan is a formal observation, number 2, and then that post-observation conference and the teacher acknowledgement of the observation conference. The evaluator acknowledgement actually comes in this post-observation conference. All right, any question about reopening your observation 2? So teachers and support staff have an area called written response, and you can open up your written response. What is it used for? You can use it to supply artifacts with attachments here. You'll come in here and you'll click the edit button. There's a section down at the bottom that I'm pointing to that has edit, and you can attach your artifacts and put any comments in. Maybe you have a written response. Maybe you've talked and had that conference with your evaluator, and you want to let them know that you have additional supportive documentation that you want to give them, rather by word or attachment, and you can put those comments in here, and then it sends an email to your evaluator where they can then read your written response, and they must acknowledge your written response in the system. So any questions about how to use your written response? Okay. So just a quick review of the observation cycle and who does what when. The observation cycle in evaluation plan starts with the principal, AP, or peer, your evaluators, observers, or peer observer. The pre-observation, in this case, is optional. If it is done, it must have the teacher acknowledgement, teacher or support staff, and then it goes to the formal/informal observation, depending on your plan type. From there, it goes to the evaluator again for that post-observation conference to have with the teacher or support staff, and then the post-observation acknowledgement. So principal would acknowledge here, or peer would acknowledge here, teacher would then acknowledge. If you're going to have a written response, these can remain open until the written response is in, so that the evaluator can then update the tallies in the rubric, or add additional comments in the observation. So these could remain open until you supply that written response, if you let your evaluator know that you'd like to reply back with a written response. he can leave those open. And then once everybody agrees we're ready to move on, then you can sign off on those acknowledgments. And then finally, the evaluator locks the observation activity. So that's a quick review of your evaluation observation cycle for the mid-year. We're getting ready to do your PDP cycle for the mid-year. Do you guys have any questions? Give me just a minute. Okay, let's take a look at your professional development plan. If you guys want to see anything on the live site, just put something in the chat and I will be happy to jump over to our NCEES site and walk you through any questions you might have. Let me turn this over to Kim because this is her presentation for the professional development plan mid-year.
Okay, so we have 3 different types of professional development plans: the individual growth plan, monitored growth plan, and the directed growth plan. So just as a little review about what our professional growth plans, what they're really about, they should serve as a roadmap for teacher growth. And they definitely should be focused on individual development goals, but they can also include school goals and district goals, depending on how those apply to your growth and to your work stream. And we encourage you to align your teacher PDPs with your school improvement plan, if that works. And this alignment will strengthen and streamline all of your improvement conversations. And also teacher effectiveness data. That data, we don't have it this year, but under normal circumstances, when we have that performance data, we can use that, especially since we don't have it at the beginning of the year to include it on our professional development plan. By mid-year, if we want to add some of the data to tweak our PDPs or to improve or better align, we can do that. So to dig into what the plan types really look like, let's take a look at the different plan types and why we use different ones. The individual PDP, this is for new teachers that we hire and also for teachers who are rated at least proficient on all the standards on the teacher summary rating form from the previous year. So it's one of those things that carries over from year to year, and it creates a continuum within our evaluation process. If you remember that one-pager we saw earlier when I was reviewing the evaluation process, and we were just focused in the bottom corner, it really does circle around, and the PDP is one of those pieces that really creates the continuum for us, that takes us from last year to this year. And if you are on an individual PDP, that means that you, the teacher, you set your individual goals for growth, and then you meet with the administrator 3 times during the year to discuss your growth at the beginning of the year, middle of the year, and end of the year. If you're on a monitored PDP, this is for the teachers who were rated developing on 1 or more standards on the teacher summary rating form from the previous year. In this case, the administrator and the teacher meet to discuss and set those goals together. And they should meet at least 3 times during the school year, beginning, middle, and end, to discuss growth for the teacher as well. And we really recommend that they meet more than just those 3 times. If you're, for the teacher, on the directed PDP, this is for the teacher that was rated not demonstrated on any standard on the teacher summary rating form or developing on 1 or more standards on the teacher summary rating form for 2 sequential years. In this case, the administrator develops the goals for the teacher based on observations and documentation that they've gathered from the previous year. In this case, you meet with the administrator meets with the teacher to review the development plan, and then they meet at least 3 times by policy during the school year, beginning, middle, and end. We recommend that an administrator meets monthly or at least every other month with the teacher to really support their growth and to support their improvement. For this webinar, it's important to note that all PDP plans types require a mid-year review, and the monitored and directed PDP plans recommending more review times and meetings to ensure progress mapped out by the professional development plan.
Okay, thank you, Kim. All right, and still not seeing any questions come in. Y'all are quiet today. All right, we're going to take a quick look then back in the system side of things at reopening your PDP. And again, once you're in NCEES, you're going to navigate to My Evaluations, and on your Evaluations page, under the Current Evaluations tab, you're going to find your Professional Development Plan, and you're going to click on that blue link on the title to open up the channel. Once your channel opens, we're going to look at each of the activities that are in the channels. First, you're looking for, have you completed your self-assessment? And it does have a green check. We'll take a moment to note if now is a good time for you to reassess yourself, or your district would like for you to reassess yourself. This is optional, but this container is never locked. So you could come back in here and redo your self-assessment at mid-year if that's informative to you and informative to anybody you want to share your self-assessment with. I do ask that if you want a record of what you put in at the beginning of the year and then what you put in at the mid-year, to print this out before you update it for the mid-year. Print it to a PDF and then maybe attach it in one of those areas that you can attach a document to, or print it out for your records in for yourself to keep, because once you update this, it will update to what it is at mid-year, and you can't go back and see what you had checked at the beginning of the year. All right, moving on, your PDP initial review should also have a green check on it, and you're getting ready to enter your PDP mid-year review. So once you open the channel for the PDP mid-year review, you're going to see the activities for PDP Details Mid-Year Review, which teacher and support staff start these activities, not the evaluator. The teacher or support staff has to start the process for the mid-year review in your PDP. Once you click into that, you're going to then see New to enter your information that you need to enter for your mid-year review. Once everything's in there and your evaluator has reviewed it, they will sign off on it right here on the evaluator's signature, mid-year review. If you have a mentor assigned, the mentor needs to sign off on it as well. And then once they've signed, you as a teacher or support staff can go in and sign off as well for the teacher signature. And then again, this is an evaluator view you're seeing on the screen, because you see the locking activity at the bottom down there. Only the evaluator will see that. And when they have all green checks in place, then they can lock the activity. Notice that it can lock if the mentor signature is not there. So if you see this and you're, if you're a teacher that needs to have a mentor signature in place, your district administrator may need to reopen this if your evaluator has accidentally locked the channel and the mentor has not signed off yet. So here is just a page from the mid-year PDP help guide and the PDP Mid-Year Review Container, going over what I just showed you. To open up that mid-year review, click New to complete the required activities. And some of those there is an asterisk by, you need to provide evidence of progress towards specific standards of elements to be addressed or enhanced. And that's right here. I know it's kind of small on the screen, but there is an asterisk right here. So this must be filled in. And then you should have some discussions with your evaluator about the student growth in your classroom if you're a teacher. And if student growth has been reviewed, then you should answer this question, yes or no. Enter any comments and then attach any files here, and then just click Save and Exit to then finish that activity. And if you want to add additional mid-year goals, this is optional, but if you want to add mid-year goals, you'll just come in there and click Edit, Add Your Goals, and remember each of these little areas for goals, actions, outcomes, resources needed, and timeline are all required, so make sure you fill in all of those internal parts of your goal, and then click Save and Exit to complete this activity. So let's just do a quick review of that cycle for your PDP at mid-year. Again, the teacher or support staff will start the PDP details. The evaluator will review and sign off. If you've been assigned a mentor, they will review and sign off. And then you as the teacher or support staff can sign off. And then the evaluator will complete the locking activity. There is a report that you can print in your PDP Record of Activities channel. Look for the Record of Activities channel, and you'll come in here, and it's actually at the top here. You'll see a drop-down. You can print your initial review, and you can print your mid-year review. At the end of the year, there's a report for your end-of-year review, and then the last one is just kind of a comprehensive of everything, a report right there. Anybody that has access to your plan can print out this record of activities. This shows who signed off when on each and which activities have been completed. All right, so we've made pretty good time today. It's 20 till, so we have plenty of time. I do have some additional resource slides to look at. But now is your time to please enter any questions before we end for today. So just get those in the chat, please, if you have any questions. So if you are looking to take some courses to help meet your goals, you can go to the Professional Development tab and scroll down the page, and you have these channels on that page. One is to look for courses that are aligned to standards. So if you've used a goal for Standard 2, and then you can look and see what courses are available. So use the available buttons. The Explore buttons don't do anything in North Carolina, but in the channel you can even open up Standard 2 and do whatever elements might be aligned. So if DPI has created courses and they've aligned them to the teacher evaluation, then you're going to find those courses under this available button. I will note that the abbreviated plans, you may not find as many courses out here. You may have to do just an overall course search at the top of this page. There was an issue with how they set it up. When we select to align standards to a plan, we select teacher evaluation, and for some reason that abbreviated was outside of that, and I think it's because it only has 2 standards instead of the 5. So we are working with the vendor to get that fixed for next year. But right now, if you're on a standard, a late hire, or a comprehensive plan, you can see anything that's been aligned to a teacher evaluation, any course. And abbreviated, if the course creator thought to also attach it to the abbreviated plan, you can find courses as well. Most folks are pretty good about going out there to find courses. Let's see, I do see we have a question. If we do PD there for our goals, can we get CEUs for them as well? Yes, if you're talking about when you mean there in the NCEES evaluation system, yes, I think we have time to kind of pop over there. So what I was just showing you was, let me get here, this Professional Development tab. Let me get a little bit bigger. If you click on here, and depending on how zoomed in you are is depending on how your page will render. So if I were to zoom out, it's still going to go up and down like this. If you zoom in too far, things start to disappear. So just be careful with zoom. So here's your general course search at the top of the page. And then here is your courses aligned to standards. So if you're a teacher or support staff, you're going to click on the teacher evaluation standard. And then this is where I said you could keep drilling down. here. This has a drill down in here, but it really doesn't do any good. It's just showing you the rating categories so that we don't have, we aren't aligning the courses to the rating categories. They're related to the standard or the elements in the standard. And then you would just click, and hopefully there's some aligned. Click available. I need to take that to support. I don't know why it's doing that. Let me try one more and see if we still get that. Let's try standard 3. Let's do available. Okay, so it looks like we're having an issue today, so let me get this up to PowerSchool support. But it should show you the courses that are aligned to your standard. I do know it has worked before. It's been a few weeks since I've actually clicked through this way, so let me check those. Hopefully it's working for you guys. If not, you can just email me, let me know, and I'll let you guys know when it's fixed. All right, and then here's another area, focus area aligned courses. So you can, if you have a focus area, you can see if anybody has aligned courses through here. So like if I did world languages, let's see, yep, if this one works. So I did world languages and I have a course here, a couple courses here aligned to world language. Let me come back here. All right, and when you're in your evaluation rubric, I guess I should have stayed over there and showed you as well. I'll show you where this light bulb is. I need to assume a user. Let me do that for you. Let me do a test user so I can show you something. Let's try PD user. Maybe something going on. It's a little slow today. There we go. Let's try this one here. All right, so when you go to your My Evaluation, okay, and you open a plan. Now this is a test user, so we use it to test out all the plan types. Let's just choose comprehensive here. Let me see if I can get into the rubric. And I can't find another one. Try abbreviating. I think I can show you this one. Okay, so everybody's used to looking at their rubric in the observation. I'll zoom way in. Hopefully you can see it. If you look beside the standard or the element, will be little light bulbs. So you can click on the light bulb, and I'll zoom out a little bit so you can read that. It will show you any courses that are aligned. So here, this one has been aligned, but I've already registered for it, and it tells me I've already registered for it. But if it had a blue link there, I could click that blue registered, and it's like a 3-step process that you can then register for the course. Let's see if there's any other place I have a light bulb and see if it gives me anything else. Okay, this one does. Zoom out a little bit. All right, so here's North Carolina K-3 formative assessment process for teachers that will help me meet element 1D. And I can come over here and I can register for this course. Notice it shows me any sections, and I can register for it. It's going to give me one more confirmation, and then I just click next. And now I'm registered for the course. I can go to the course. I can go back and search for more courses. I can even add it to my calendar right here, especially if it's an instructor-led course and it has dates tied to it. All right, let me come back to, all right, We're getting close. We got 10 minutes. All right, so that's how you can use the light bulb in there. Your evaluator can actually also go out there and click on the light bulb and assign you some PD. They can require it or they can recommend it. They don't click the register. They actually put a checkbox in there. They recommend or require it. That's my pointer. They can recommend or require right here, and then it doesn't really notify you. They're going to have to let you know that they've done that. However, if you go to My Courses, you will see it in your channel called Recommended Courses, or if it's been required, there's a channel called Required Courses. So watch for those. All right, some of you had known to go out to rt3nc.org. That is where our Educator Effectiveness Department in years past has listed all of the courses that they've built out in NCEES, but recently something happened to the website and the page is blank. So they know about the issue and they are working on it. If you still would like a list of courses, I have exported a list of courses, and it can be found in NCEES Professional Development. I'll see if I can copy that link and put it out there for you. And that is on our Google site. When you come down here to the online tool and resources and then go to the NCEES Professional Development page, will be a list of courses down here. There's a little gray square in the top right corner that allows you to expand that spreadsheet. So you can go look at what courses have been published in the catalog out there for people to go find. So do use that list all you want. Okay, and then I am not seeing any other questions coming in, so you guys are probably waiting for your feedback link. So Kim, did you want to talk any more about the Google site before I give them the feedback link?
If you are not familiar with the NCEES Google site, please take just a few minutes and bookmark this page, because it is a one-stop shop for all your NCEES support, even if it's just to have the contact information for me and for Cammie. And if you do want to show them maybe the webinars page or the online resource page quickly, Cammie, that would be great.
So this is the NCEES Google site, right? Webinars are right here under Webinars 2020-21. I think I clicked on it. All right, and we will be updating soon. Kim and I are finalizing the list for the second half of the year, and we'll have these posted out there soon. But notice all the recordings for each one of these webinars is listed out here. Any presentations that we've had, the slides, and if I've posted FAQs from the webinar, they will be there as well. And so we only have one more webinar for this year. We're finishing it up with middle of year teachers right now, and then we're going to have the admin reporting next week. And then here is the online tool resources right here.
Yes.
So this is your contact information. Dr. Socks with Educator Support is our NCEES business owner, product owner. Kim Simmons, she's listed right here as well. And each one of these, if you click on them, is a link to our email address. And I try to keep our guides posted out here as well. So do come check all that out. And the link to the courses is right below on the left over here. And here's where you can click to open it up. But it just lists all your courses, how much they're worth, how many credits you're going to get, and things like that, course numbers that you can then go back to NCEES and register for. I have a question. Once we click the bulb, some courses are required and some are recommended. What does that mean? If you see that it's been required or recommended for you, then your evaluator has done that. They've assigned it to you. But if you're looking at it for yourself, you do not have to select required or recommended. You just have to click register to sign up for the course. And if you want to email me maybe a screenshot of what you're looking at, I'll be glad to follow up on that with you. Let me get back to our slides. All right, and if you've not taken time, and we didn't go look at the COVID page, but there's a COVID page out here that's very informative for teachers, support staff, administrators about doing those remote observations and blended learning observations. So do take time to look at that. It's very informative and helpful. We do have a NCEES YouTube playlist, so please go check that out as well. Look at that. So this recording will be posted out there. Currently, I don't have the policy recordings out here, but I'll try to work on those later. But Kim does share that out with the follow-up email, how to access the policy webinars. You'll need the link to those, and they do go out with the follow-up email. All right. So enjoy your winter break and happy holidays. We did do that. Forgot to have something inside. We have a Facebook page as well. We're trying to get 500 likes, so please go visit our Facebook page for Home Base. And I'll put that link out there as well. We do post every Wednesday Did You Knows. So like tomorrow morning at 8 o'clock will be a Did You Know for NCEES. So watch for those. And then you as teachers and support staff, you cannot open a ticket with DPI, but you can tell your principal or your NCEES lead to please open a ticket if you're having an issue. If they can't resolve your issue, they will open a ticket with us. They have a designated person to do that. And there's the information. If they don't know how to open a ticket, there's the information for them. And here, let me get this in this feedback survey is going in your chat right now, and we appreciate you guys joining us today. Let me put that. Once you complete your feedback survey, remember to watch for an email to come back, and it will have your certificate attached. Actually, our follow-up email is now scheduled for a week out because we've just been totally swamped lately. So hopefully I'll try to get it out within 24 to 48 hours. But do give us up to a week to get that follow-up email out. And we thank you for attending today. We wish you a very Merry Christmas. Maybe we'll see you next Tuesday for our admin reporting webinar. But if we do not, have a happy holidays. Whatever holiday you're celebrating during the winter, have a happy holiday. And thank you, Kim. That was very informative. I always enjoy hearing the policy side and the steps on the side for them.
Thank you for having me.